Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 78 of the Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. I am Anthony Ewing, your host on a week-to-week basis, and I am here with a live guest today in Chris Pieta from Pieta Productions. We'll be introducing him in just a moment. We want to thank everybody for joining us every week on the virtual roundtable hosted by Thoughtium. Each Thursday at 3 o'clock Central, we go live with business leaders and topics that matter most in today's wild and crazy business environment. We as leaders are constantly navigating change, big decisions, and as entrepreneurs, we're making those decisions almost on a day-to-day basis. And so we love to bring entrepreneurs to the table to really talk about, again, these topics that matter most. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guests for episode 78, Chris Pieta. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you for joining live. This is one of the few times over the course of the last year or 18 months that we've been able to have a live guest. And Chris hails here from Chicago. He's got an office here in the West Loop, much like us. And so it was just a quick walk over today. We're so happy to have you here live at the table. Today is all about how to start a creative business. And I know that that's one of your taglines and your monikers, but it's also what you live and breathe as an entrepreneur, helping others on how to start and create their own journey into starting a creative business. You know, we here at Thoughtium, we believe in creative exploration. We believe in design and media really telling the story and leading the direction of the organization through digital content, social media, and shows like this. And so Chris and I and a whole bunch of our team have really connected on not only the journey of starting a business, but also sharing the process and the tools that we use to do so. And Chris is here today to do a lot of that with us. So without further ado, let's dive in. So Chris, you're one of our repeat guests, and we love repeat guests, particularly because we get to almost revisit points in time in your journey and the development of Pieta Productions and Chris Pieta, the brand. And I want to talk about both of those. But you were on the show back in January of 2021, so just over a year ago. And as quickly as things are changing today, I'm so curious, Chris, what was Pieta Productions in January of 2021? And what is Pieta Productions today?
Yeah, I'd love to get into it. So back in January 2021 was kind of when I rebranded from just me being Chris Pieta, the photographer, to Pieta Productions, where I was going to begin offering photography, video services, all that good stuff. So in January 2021, I was pretty much only doing photography. I was the only one at the company doing that kind of stuff. Our clientele were mainly pretty small businesses. And since then, we've expanded to a team of 4 people. So now we have a video editor, a photo editor, and my assistant that does like administrative tasks and other stuff to kind of help the business out. I still do all the creative direction, all the sales processes, all the business development. So it's really, it's a very like team-oriented business now, which is great because I can serve more clients with that. I'm sure we'll get to that later. But we've also began offering like video services in the past year. We've seen like Instagram obviously has been pushing video a lot. So we're also transitioning with that to offer our clients video services. And what else? So on the Chris Pieta side of things, last year I wasn't doing any teaching of how to start a creative business, but based on my experiences over the past few years, everything I've learned, I began teaching others what I know and kind of helping people that are just a few steps behind me in the creative business community, because I know I don't know everything, but I know more than other people, and I want to share that knowledge with those people. So past year we began teaching other creatives how to get clients, how to make money doing something they love.
Yeah, I mean, so much to unpack there. But what I'm hearing, Chris, is that you still have two sides of the business, two sides of what you're creating. You've got Pieta Productions, which is essentially a production agency, and you do photography and you work with clients. It's a client services organization, which we have a lot in common on. You also have Chris Pieta, which I think is so smart. You developed a brand in yourself, and I think just a really interesting point here is that as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, or even someone starting a business, you really can develop a brand in yourself and have it live both inside and outside of your company. And was that an intentional decision for you, or maybe what came first, your personal brand or Pieta Productions?
Yeah, so my personal brand came first back in the day when I was still learning photography. I would post like really nice photos of Chicago and landscape photos all over Instagram. Realized there was no way to really make money doing that full time, so I pivoted to Pieta Productions to do like product photography, and then kind of lost the Chris Pieta side of things, and then I revamped that in 2021, building upon what we did in Pieta Productions and trying to teach people through those channels on Instagram as well as my YouTube channel, newsletter, in a way to help share like my experience through the personal brand.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's one of my greatest joys is sharing the process and the journey, and I think it's sharing that journey and sharing the process, both the ups and the downs, is really what I think brings Pieta Productions, Chris Pieta and Thought Team together. I mean, both two organizations that are just so emphatic about being authentic and open about the process and how we're growing and how we're leveraging different tools. And I also think it's a huge part of your value proposition. I know personally, I tune into your YouTube videos because they're typically on a segment or two of a very specific aspect of business that I might want to learn more on, or I might want to just understand how someone else is doing it. And I think that's a real both creative but also valuable message that you're sending out there. And we'll talk about that in a second. What is the biggest difference between your business today and your business a year ago? Outside of the fact that it sounds like you've grown internally as an organization, what's maybe a little bit different in terms of how you're doing business or the type of offerings that you have at Pieta Productions?
One of the biggest differences is kind of our core offering has expanded from doing like individual photos and videos to bigger package deals in an effort to help serve clients in like a better way. So we went from doing small, like one-off, a few photo shoots to like bigger packages that can like rebuild someone's website or provide content for a month or two for them to post on social media, or run a bunch of ad campaigns and test what performs better for their brand. So we've kind of transitioned from like the low ticket sales to high ticket sales model in that sense. And with that, we've also began offering a lot of like fun bonuses in our packages. So we like include free licensing with our photos. We've recently started doing something where you can track like the process of the photo shoot. So once you start working with us, it's kind of like Amazon packages. You can see whether we're prepping for the photo shoot, editing, doing the mood board, creative direction, or we're waiting on for your approval on stuff. So you can kind of like track stuff on the website. So we incorporate like bonuses like that into the shoots as well to kind of differentiate ourselves in like the customer experience and just make it really easy to work with us.
Yeah. And what's it been like building a team?
It's been fun. Definitely. It's been a learning process. It's my first time running a team. So that's been fun to learn. A lot of challenges come with that, but also it's really rewarding to see like my team succeed and to kind of up the level of production that we can do, because the photo editor and video editor that I have are way better than I was. So now the production quality is a lot better for our clients. And it's really great to have my assistant do tasks that like are kind of like repetitive for me, so I can focus on like high value tasks to again like take better photos, do better videos, work on like the business development side of things, improve the customer experience. So it's great to have more free time to focus on like those high value tasks.
Yeah, I mean, that's every business owner's goal, right? Is to make sure that you're focusing all of your energy in the right buckets. And I know that takes a while sometimes. I mean, and as a business owner myself, like it's a constant challenge to make sure that I'm providing value, to the organization in ways that matter most, and not getting caught up in some of the work that's necessary, but potentially not super high ROI. And I know that that's just a constant challenge. But congratulations on building a team. It's always so great to have navigating now guests back at the table when their businesses are growing, expanding, or potentially pivoting in new directions. And that's what this show is all about. And that's why we love repeat visitors like Chris. But today's episode is all about how to start a creative business. And I think, for those folks that are tuning in via LinkedIn, for our YouTube community, we have a lot of folks that are really interested in starting a business of their own, or they maybe have started a business. As much as the title says how to start a creative business, I would argue that every business is a creative business. I'd argue that before anything, Thought Team is a media company. We've always held that to be true. And when I say media, I don't mean in physical form. I mean, we are a story and we are a brand that is in constant motion. Pieta Productions helps brands tell their story. And you do that in a very particular way. And so today I want to talk a little bit about what are the key components to starting a creative business. And we'll kind of take it in three directions. The first part we want to talk about is the sales process, because I know that that's something that you really focus on in building and scaling your company. The second area of discussion will be business development, because that's another thing that I think we've learned from each other on. And then third is the customer experience, which I know is something that you absolutely anchor on in terms of the way that you're growing your business. So three aspects of how to start a creative business, three very important ingredients. Let's dive in. The first piece, the sales process. It's interesting. Prior to starting a business of my own, I didn't really know the importance of a sales process until I knew how it applied to even a very small, at the time it was a few person consulting job. That process, that rigor, and being able to identify where you are with your clients and where your business is within the pipeline is so important. So tell us a little bit about the sales process and the role that it plays in your small business.
Yeah, what you mentioned there, I didn't really realize how important the sales process was until I started this business. I used to think that photographers and creatives and businesses just got clients when people approach them, and that just doesn't happen. So when I began researching how to actually gain clients without much experience in the field, sales was the number one way to do that. So the first thing you need is a way to contact clients. So some sort of cold outreach or organic outreach that will drive attention to your business. So that was something that I focused on early on. A lot of the stuff I teach is aimed at cold emails towards clients, just pitching what you do and how you can help them. And a lot of the hesitation a lot of the people that I teach have with that is they think they're coming off as spammy, or that those people don't want to hear from them. And my answer to that is, as long as you believe in what you're selling and that it's a benefit to their business, then you're not coming off as spam, because if you get to work with that client, you get to help them. So you're just trying to convince them that you can actually help them. And if you don't believe in that product, then there might have to be some work done on your end to kind of get your photography or whatever your creative service is to that level where you'll believe in it. Because once you really believe in your product, then the sales process becomes more so not you trying to convince yourself that you believe in it, you're convincing the other person that it's actually a valuable service to them. So from those cold emails I mentioned, I always hop on sales calls or discovery calls with clients just to kind of see what problems they're facing. So in my particular example, it's always, do they need help with their Amazon listings, or are their Facebook or Instagram ads not performing well? Does their website a high bounce rate, or are their conversions on their product sales? Photography and videography can help with those kinds of things. And this is the stuff I teach is not limited towards creative business, but I target that niche because that's how to reach the most people at the early stage. So the sales process after the call, I always send a proposal out to the client about how we actually can help them, our offering. And from there, they either accept it or decline it. Then we either have a new client or we continue the search.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things is, as rudimentary and elementary as the sales process may seem, the minute you start to bring on more clients, it becomes more important. And we are 5 years into building Thoughtium, which is also a client services business, and we're realizing as a client services business, that process that your client follows in terms of the way that they engage with you, do business with you, and ultimately the way that we deliver our services, it is your business. So we realize the sales process is our business. And as much as it keeps you organized and it lets you know where you're at in the process, the biggest thing that it's been for us is that it allows you to make informed decisions, right? So, I know, Chris would say the same. I highly encourage folks that are starting a business, whether you're a solopreneur or a small business, sit down and define the sales process. What is the customer journey from the inception of the idea of you getting together and doing business, to the interactions, to the development of a scope of work, to the execution of the work and the follow-up? Because you start to stack clients up, and you can really gain some insights in terms of life cycle of clients, where maybe some bottlenecking is occurring. And as you bring a team on, then you leverage those insights to help staff and support the work in unique ways. And so, shout out to all of our operationalists. We have a few of them on our team that have been just really a big fan of standard processes like the sales process. And it's one of the things, eye-opening, learnings that I had, that no matter how small your business, a sales process is the backbone. It's the lifeblood. Secondly, let's talk about business development. I have been the product of and a part of large business development efforts with large organizations. I know you started in a large organization as well too. Business development might look a little different as a small creative business, and there might be some similarities. So tell us a little bit about maybe your overall business development philosophy, and maybe give us one or two things that you do on a regular basis to make sure that your pipeline and your opportunities are rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think whenever I kind of go through like phases in my business right now. I feel like as a solopreneur, you're going to go through those where you're either really into the business and doing the day-to-day work, or you're trying to grow it actively, kind of like the entrepreneurial role versus like the technician role.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through phases where I'll try and implement something new, test it with clients, see how it works, and then like analyze it a month down the road, see if it's actually working, how can I improve upon it, and then reiterate on that, and then go from there. The thing I really like about having like my own business is like the speed at which I can do that stuff like with. So like if there's a software out there I find that has a great promise for my business, I can implement it like right away, versus if I was like at my old job, I'd have to like go through like a few months of just trying to convince people that this is the right move. So it's great to have like that speed at which I can actually implement stuff into my business to help it grow. I think the business development side of it's actually like my favorite part of the business, even more so than like the photography at this point, just because I like the constant improvement upon things. Even like in my own personal life, I like efficiencies, trying to be like as efficient as possible with stuff. Like I like the life hacking stuff, all that stuff. So that ties directly like back into my business, trying to do like minor improvements that will have positive impacts to like my clients.
Yeah. One of the lessons that we are learning is that there is definitely process and rigor that you can apply to business development. Making sure that your outreach is tight and fruitful, making sure that you are collecting data and insights on your customers in a way that you can turn around and improve your systems, your offerings, your processes. There's also a real organic component to business development that we are really enjoying. And it really allows you to create, whether it's impressions or experiences that don't necessarily have like an outcome or an endpoint, but you know that it's developing either share a voice or brand or value for your folks. So maybe what's an example of something that like has really surprised you in terms of a business development, and I put it in air quotes, something that you've done or put out there that has generated business and you really didn't intend it to, or something that just had huge organic reach or organic impact, outside of structured, paid advertising type mechanics, which are very important.
I think one of the things was just hopping on some podcasts like these.
Nice.
Honestly, because I've been on like a few, and from all of them, I've gotten like messages like, "Hey, I saw you on this podcast.
Yeah.
Can you like do photos for like my startup candle store or something like that?" So that's been a very pleasant surprise, because I mainly like hopped on these, just sounded like a good opportunity. I haven't done this kind of stuff before, so I always say yes to like new opportunities. So that was a surprising business development. So like the more eyeballs you can get on your brand, I guess that makes sense. People will reach out. So it's
I love that you brought that up, because I know you've been a part of a couple of our events. You've been on the podcast before, and from that I know you've been able to garner a couple of new connections and even some new business. And we can't emphasize enough the power of even just some of the small connections. Navigating Now does not have millions of viewers, but we have a really loyal community of followers that tune in on a regular basis, and oftentimes the folks that are tuning in are also a part of, whether it's our services as a consulting firm or other experiences that we're hosting throughout the year. And I think just tapping into smaller communities in unique ways, whether that's jumping on a podcast or getting up off the couch and actually attending that anniversary party for some other small business, or open house for, the realtor friend that's just trying to get under their feet. Like, that generates so much organic potential that putting a massive, paid advertising algorithm in place and a ton of dollars behind it sometimes can't generate. And I think that's one of the joys of being in small business, is being able to tap into those communities in ways that, let's say, Chris, if you were working for, Pepsi or McDonald's, like they would say, you're jumping on what podcast, with how many followers, right? So there's a little bit of that autonomy that we have to kind of create micro communities in ways that we wouldn't working for larger organizations. And for any small business or creative business, there's no amount of conversations, podcast communities that you can tap into that will not generate some value for you. Thirdly, I want to talk about customer experience. As I got to know a little bit about your career, Chris, we've talked about, your past was actually in more of a customer service, almost customer journey design type of a capacity. It wasn't necessarily in photography. And then you kind of applied that mentality to your photography business. So tell us about, the Pieta Productions customer experience and how that might be a little bit different than working with an independent photographer or, another photo production agency out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my background is from, I was in quality assurance and regulatory, for like a food company, and there it was very important for the customer experience to be awesome, because that was how they perceived the brand. So when I was starting my business, I wanted to kind of take in those principles too. I don't have any formal like photography education or like business education. I just kind of use my past experiences and kind of brought them together to make it the best possible experience for my clients. And with that, I do stuff that traditional photographers won't do. Like, I don't license my photos, and I didn't do that at the start because I thought that small businesses don't have the time to like deal with like licenses. Are they going to, like, they have to keep track of like when these photos are going to have to be like renewed, but they're like a small business, so they have like all these things weighing on their time. I didn't want to like add this other thing for them. My goal was to make it as easy as possible for them to work with me, in an effort for me to get new clients as like an inexperienced photographer. And coming from like no industry experience, the customer experience stuff I put in place was really beneficial to those early clients, because I was just doing things that the other photographers they didn't do for them. So their experience with me was like positive. So I got good reviews, good testimonials from those. And I've continued that like throughout my journey. I was telling you earlier about the like the Amazon tracking thing I have on like my packages. That was another thing that we implemented to help with the customer experience. We always send our clients a lot of photos to choose from. Typically, photographers will just pre-select like 10 final photos and send them to the customer. We do, if you like buy a 10 photo package from us, you'll get like 20 or 30 photos to choose from. And from those, you can select like your favorites to kind of guarantee that you're going to have, you're going to be happy with the results. And another thing we did this year was we started offering like 100% money back guarantee. Again, in the same effort that like, if you're not happy with what we're doing, then it doesn't make sense for us to work together.
Interesting.
So that was like one thing I read in like a book by Alex Hormozy this past year, and I think it's been positive for like the sales process, because it reduces like the risk of working with me. And since I'm confident in my work that I can actually do good work, it's a no-brainer.
How long have you had the 100% money back guarantee in place?
It's been since August last year.
Okay, and how's that been? I mean, like it's almost like when you hear that, you're like, man, like would I really do that? Because like, I mean, you're almost inviting people to almost take advantage of that. But it sounds like it's been a bit of a different experience for you.
Yeah, I've never had anyone take me up on it. I think part of it is like, one is like, we do good work, so there's no reason anyone would want to. And if they do take me up on that, I'll say, if you're not happy with the photos, then you can't use them. So just to like protect me from people abusing it in that sense. So since I'm confident with the work we do,
that's
and
great.
We have that, so it's just been.
It's more of a tactic on the front end of the sales process to ease a little bit of the conversion anxiety, if you will, that the buyers may have. I love that. That's a really good tip. Awesome stuff on customer experience. We talked business development. We talked the importance of a sales process. 3 key ingredients to starting a creative business. I want to round things out by going into a little bit of a lightning round, because Chris, you being a part of the community the way that you have, I've gotten to know you professionally and personally. You and I have some unique interests in terms of the way that we kind of go about our lives and organize our lives. You're an ex-triathlete or a today triathlete as well too.
Yeah.
And I also know that you have a knack for productivity and productivity efficiencies. Mm-hmm. So to start the lightning round off, I want to ask, you've got two non-standard apps to keep on your iPad. What would they be?
I use Endel. It's like this music service where they just play like soundscapes. So I like it.
Interesting.
It's
like ambient stuff.
Yeah. And like they have like different modes, like focus and relax modes, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the reason I started using it is it eliminates the choice in like choosing music when you're working. So you just hit play and it plays for whatever 6 hours, and you don't have to. If you don't like a song on Spotify, you don't get interrupted to press skip. Yeah. So that's
Endel, Endel.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Brain.fm is also another one as well too. That's backed by neuroscience, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Norm and I call that going in the rabbit hole, like when you just like need to completely black out and get a ton of work done.
Headphones on.
Totally. Yeah. What are you using your iPad for today?
Honestly, it's a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So I use that for that a lot. I use it for organization. Another app I like is Notion.
Yeah.
So that's a great organization app. I use that for everything from business to personal life organization. It's just fantastic. I use it as like an external monitor for photo shoots as well.
Yep.
So it hooks up to my camera wirelessly. It works great.
Yep.
It's a really nice device. Just like it fills the gap between like phone and tab or phone and computer.
Speaking of iPad, I know you have a fairly significant YouTube channel. I know you're pouring a lot of time and effort and energy into it. Every once in a while, I see you do like an atypical video. So your videos are typically about building a creative business, photography, entrepreneurship, but then every once in a while you'll do like a product review. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that strategy, maybe in just 20 seconds or less. Like why throw in a product review or something that might be a little bit different than the niche that you're after?
Definitely, yeah. So those are pretty much purely an effort to help grow my channel. Like when I buy a new Apple product, because I can kind of spin the video in a way that benefits like photographers. So my channel is like for photographers and creative business people. So I'm able to review the product in a way where I use it for like business and stuff. And since they're very popular videos just on YouTube, it gets a lot of search results, and someone that's searching for that might come across my channel, see my videos as kind of like a lead magnet into my channel. And that's the main strategy behind that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. What are some of the technologies or aspects of business that you are most looking forward to, let's say a year, 2, 3 years out from now?
Like down the road, maybe like 3 years, this company just reached out to me. They're offering photo shoots like virtually, and it's like a computer program that can pretty much do what my business does. So I'm curious to see how that's going to
I'm curious
pan out down the road, because I checked it out and it's like, it looks pretty promising. So it's going to be interesting how to like adapt that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's going to be the same. It's not going to like replace cameras, just like iPhones aren't going to replace like cinema cameras anytime soon. It's going to be a more like complementary balance, but that's like a cool technology that I'm like excited to see. I'm not like scared of going to go out of business. Yeah. It's going to be cool to like adapt that kind of thing.
Okay. What shows are you guys watching on a regular basis?
We just finished up Dexter.
Okay.
And now we're watching season 4 of Mrs. Maisel.
Okay, so. Cool. Yeah, along with everybody. Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right, how can people find you? I know I definitely want to direct people to your YouTube page, because you are one of maybe 5 individuals that I actually subscribe to, because when the notifications come through, it's typically something that I want to watch, and it's short and it's snackable and I love it. So how do people find you on YouTube and all the other channels as well too?
On YouTube, I'm Chris Pieta, Pieta. I just type my name, and from any of my videos, you can get linked to my social channels. My website, where I have a lot of free resources for starting a creative business. I have a course there for free. And then for the product photography side of things, pietaproductions.com, again, Pieta Productions.com. That's where We do all the client work, the agency work, and do product photography and videography for brands.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for stepping in today. You know, it's such a joy to see the evolution of your business, and more importantly, your evolution as a business owner. And also, like, I just love conversations like this. They're so natural, and it's because we have such a good history of supporting each other, and we just appreciate all the support and love that you give to us and our community. And we look forward to having you back again.
Yeah, it's been great. It's
Awesome.
been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, as we round things out, I want to share a couple of different notes. So we're extremely excited to continue the Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. We go live every Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Next week, we have a new guest, and then we'll be kicking off our quarterly Perspectives series. And as you all know, the Perspective series is an opportunity for us collectively to go deep on a topic for 3 straight weeks. And we follow it up with a specific toolkit that you can then bring to your teams, your families, your friends to help collaborate and solve together. That Perspectives will be kicking off in a couple of weeks. But next week, we are hosting another great leader within the technology realm. We've got Lane Hart, the Director of Customer Success at Heap. And our very own Grift Krembrink will be facilitating that discussion. Curiosity as currency, which I know is not only an interest, but a value of Grift's. And I think he's found maybe an expert in this space in Lane Hart. So we look forward to inviting Lane to the table next week, Thursday, March 10th at 3 o'clock. Thank you all for joining. ThoughtTeam.com/live is where you can find all of our content, both today and previous. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.